The warning is unequivocal. Quote, "You shoot at police, expect us to shoot back." That is the statement coming from the sheriff of Butler County, Ohio, Sheriff Richard Jones. And he's joining me now to talk about this. Sheriff, thanks for being with us. What prompted you to put this message out there?
Basically, we had a shooting Monday, an officer-involved shooting. We were chasing a suspect that was wanted in connection with a homicide. He had warrants for his arrest. He made the comments he was going to kill the police. He's going to have a shootout. The chase lasted probably 21 minutes through several jurisdictions. Finally, he ran over. We put stop sticks out. Stop sticks are sticks with spikes in them that the car runs over, the air goes out of the tires. He ran up into someone's yard, and then he started shooting at the police. We returned fire. He was shot. Probably he had 11 holes inside of him. He's still alive. It appears he's going to live. A police officer was shot several times. The dog was almost shot. And it's come to a point here in the United States that that's all we see is police officers under attack. Started in New York City a couple years ago where they started pouring buckets of water on them. They set them up. The disrespect of the police shootings, and the call for defunding the police. We don't have enough police. We feel that it's time for the police chiefs and the sheriffs throughout the country to stand up and for safety and security of our country and for your communities. And most of them are afraid to stand up. So I felt it was time for me to stand up and say, if you shoot at the police, I want to make sure
Oh no, I think we're having some technical difficulties. Let's see if we can unfreeze this. Is this working? Can we get his signal back up? Sheriff, sorry about that. I don't know whose end that was on, but I'm glad that we could get you back to talk about this. Okay, here's my question for you. You talk about this incident precipitating this warning that you're putting out there. Your department is citing clashes between protesters and law enforcement. The incident you're talking about didn't have anything to do with protesters. So
no,
why are these?
It basically it has the current trend in the country and the atmosphere that's being created by the media and by politicians on both sides makes people not want to stop, not adhere to the police. It's all about that, and it's came to a head at this point. The shooting we had, we feel that people have just they don't
You're blaming protesters for that shooting?
No, you are. I'm not. That's not what I said. I said it's the current atmosphere that people such as yourself has created with the police, the no respect for the police, not stopping for the police, not doing what the police say, people shooting at the police, throwing bricks at the police. There's no respect for law and order, and that's what you have is total chaos. That's what I've said. And it's time for the police chiefs and the sheriffs throughout the country to stand up and say that. And I'm not afraid to say that.
Let's talk about creating an atmosphere. I strongly disagree with you that we're doing anything to create that atmosphere. I think most, Sheriff, I think a lot of level-headed Americans would look at your statement on its face and say, you shoot at the police, don't be surprised if the police shoot back. But are you really doing anything to calm tensions? It doesn't seem like you're trying to do anything to bring the temperature down. This seems like you're trying to bring it up.
No, my job is to create calm, but my job also to protect the police, the people that work for me, the police throughout the country, to stand up for them. Stop abusing the police. You can't go to these disturbances and throw bricks at the police. You can't come at them with sticks. You can't do these things to the police. And you've got to stop. And I believe that the media does more to create this atmosphere than anyone else, the media and the politicians. And they need to come together, and they need to stop it, and they need to ask for calm. We need the police. You can't call social workers out for these riots that are happening in Portland, that's happening in New York City, that's happening in California, that happens in the big cities. What happens there travels. And it'll eventually be all over the country if we don't stand up and we don't try to get law and order.
Well, let me ask you, as you're aware, there are a lot of Americans who are upset about what they've been seeing in the case of how some police officers, but we're seeing a lot of it, are behaving. And I would, for instance, point you to Jacob Blake, who was shot in the back 7 times. Do you think that was out of line?
I wasn't there. I've seen what the news has said. I'm going to
There's
wait
a video of it, sir. Do you think it was out of line? You're a sheriff. You've seen the video. Was it out of line?
I'm going to wait and see what the investigation determines.
Wait and see for what? There's a video.
Well, if you'll let me finish, just because there's videos, you guys have shown videos before that ends up, there's other videos. There's lots of videos.
7 times shot in the back. 7 times shot in the back.
And I'm going to wait and see what the evidence provides, period. That's it.
Do you understand why people might be angry? Do you understand why protesters maybe have a reason to be in the streets and to be concerned?
No, I don't understand why they would burn buildings, why they would hurt people, why they would assault people.
That's not what I asked. Do you make? That's not what I'm asking. No. Look, there are people who have been rioting. There are people who have been rioting. You're talking about people who are looting and rioting. Yes. There are also people who are protesting peacefully. Do you distinguish between the two?
Knocking windows out, all those things. Yes. That's not a protest. That's not a peaceful protest.
No, but not at all. Sheriff, there have been peaceful protests. Do you disagree with that?
No. Hell, I protested myself. But I don't burn buildings down and shoot people and assault people and innocent people. Protest is a great thing. That's what our
Have you
country
had
was founded
protests in
on.
your county?
Yes, we have.
And have you had riots or looting in your county?
No, not since 1960. We're pretty fortunate, aren't we?
So what is your worry here as you are warning against that? I guess you feel like it's coming to your county. So then if you think that's coming to your county and you're watching what's happening in other places, we have seen armed militias that are patrolling protests and have been confronting protesters. Do you agree with armed militias doing that?
Absolutely. I don't agree with people being out at protests with guns on either side, period. But I don't get to make that decision. Guns at any protest, bad things can happen and has happened. I don't believe you should come to a protest with bats and shields and sticks with spikes on them. I don't believe you should bring flamethrowers, homemade. I don't think you should bring frozen water bottles on either side, period. That doesn't make for a good mix, period. And I would not encourage that. But I do say that this is coming to other cities and will come. It starts in these other big cities and it travels around. All you got to do is look at history. In the 60s, it started out the same thing and it travels. And it'll come to your city if we don't stand up and get together and get this resolved, period.
But it hasn't come to yours.
Oh, we've had protests here, but they've been peaceful protests so far.
Well, that's right. So what you're warning against, violence, you actually haven't seen, but you're putting out a statement that is amping up the temperature. I guess I don't understand that because you're warning, hey, I mean, look, if you were in a...
Hey, my job is to help you understand and help your viewers understand. And I'm allowed to have an opinion. I'm a sheriff in one of the 8th largest counties of 88 in Ohio, and I'm allowed to have an opinion. And my opinion as the lead law enforcement person in this county is it needs to stop. You don't need to disrespect the police. We have disrespect of the police here. We have it often, and it's starting to get a little bit out of control, and it does travel. These people travel from place to place, and I'm allowed to speak up and say what I think.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat controversial because I say what I think, and I go on your channel, and
but that's not, Sheriff, in fairness, that's not what you said. You said you shoot at the police, expect us to shoot back. No protesters are shooting at you. There are no protesters shooting at you.
They're not shooting at me, but they are shooting at the police in other places, and they've actually killed the police. They've thrown rocks at the police, and the police are allowed to defend themselves, other than in the big cities. And what they do is they have to take it. Their leadership says, don't go in. Let them set things on fire. Let them go in and take things because they may not have those things. And maybe they need to go in and take them because they don't have them. So let them take them. Let them burn places down. Let them destroy lives. Let them destroy buildings. For what purpose? Maybe you can answer that. What purpose is there to loot?
Look, I'm not defending looters or rioters, Sheriff, but I will defend protesters and say you're talking about ruining lives. Look at Jacob Blake's life. Look at his family's lives. Look at George Floyd's life. Look at his family's lives.
Yes, I do. I look at all those things. I look at the police officer that was killed in Cleveland today that was shot to death. I look at that often. I see it all the time. Police officers are killed in America. The tensions are high, and the attitudes toward the police are off the mark and should not be.
And I would warn you against fanning tensions. Sheriff Richard Jones, thank you for coming on to talk with us.
Thank you very much.